All right, welcome back to the Unit 7 notes for AP Environmental Science. Unit 7 all about air pollution, and in this video for Section 6 we're going to talk about the reduction of air pollutants. So some of the things that we've done or we can do to help reduce the amount of air pollutants in the atmosphere is through regulatory practices, conservation, and then just using alternative fuels. One of the practices that's been put in place is using a vapor recovery nozzle, which prevents fumes from escaping into the atmosphere. Typically, if you've been to a gas station and fueled a car before, you've probably seen a sign there that says, "Do not top off." And it's actually really important that you don't top off, because when you top off your engine, what you're doing is you're building up a higher amount of pressure with those volatile organic compounds, the gasoline, and allowing the gasoline to release itself into the atmosphere, causing more ozone production. So, topping off not only does it not really give you much more extra gas, it also helps to increase the amount of pollution in the air. Now, something else that's been done to help prevent pollution from vehicles is the catalytic converter. A catalytic converter was introduced and became highly in use in 1975, and what it does is it takes the internal combustion engine exhausts and converts those pollutants to less harmful molecules. So a catalytic converter will take the harmful gases that come out of the engine, like the carbon monoxide, the nitrogen oxides, and the hydrocarbons, and go through a process with a catalyst, which is a ceramic honeycomb with platinum and palladium or rhodium, which causes a chemical reaction that converts those gases into less harmful gases like carbon dioxide and water instead. So essentially what goes into a catalytic converter is the hydrocarbons, the carbon monoxide, and the nitrous oxide, and it converts to come out as water, nitrogen, and carbon dioxide, which are much safer compared to what is going in. And we'll watch this video in particular in class, but if you did not watch the video, make sure you check it out here. Go to that link. Again, you can open this PowerPoint on Teams if you want to click the link directly, or you can just copy that down and go to it to watch the video. Another method that's been put in place to help reduce the amount of pollution in the atmosphere are scrubbers, which help remove particulates or gases, or sometimes both, in an industrial stream. So for the most part, we're using either water or it's either wet or dry, and it's taking those pollutants and trying to prevent them from exiting through their exhaust. So in a wet scrubber, the dirty gas stream goes through a scrubbing liquid, which is typically just water, and then those particulates and gases are collected in that liquid. It's generally the most appropriate with collecting both particulates and gases in one system, but the contaminated gas comes in, it goes through a packed bed, which then allows it to enter through the scrubbing material, and those harmful chemicals are then put into the liquid reservoir where they come out and they can be disposed of, and a cleaner gas comes out. It shouldn't be clean, it should just be cleaner. A dry scrubber actually uses dry reagents which are sprayed into an exhaust stream. The pollutants are typically neutralized, or they can react and turn into a different substance, and then that substance will actually fall out of the gas stream or be caught in a particulate collector or a particle screen. For the most part, coal-burning power plants use scrubbers, which use an electrostatic precipitator, where dirt particles can get a negative charge from one wire or a plate, and then they're attracted to the second wire or plate with a positive electric charge for the collection and then disposal. So just looking at this, basically you're using the properties of positive and negative charges to pull out those solid particulates. And hopefully you can see just by looking at this, because there's no real liquid, this would be a dry scrubber. Another process that's done in coal power plants is a desulfurization, where we reduce the amount of sulfur dioxide emissions. It'll burn coal near calcium carbonate, which produces calcium sulfate, which is used in sheetrock. And so you get the flue gas that comes in, And it's the same kind of process of what we were seeing with our scrubbers to help prevent the sulfur dioxide from leaving, and then it can be reacted with limestone to then be used as gypsum in different processes like sheetrock, the drywall that you have in your home. Some other solutions, this is from the World Health Organization. Some of the solutions that we can do to help reduce air pollution is to invest in energy efficient power generation, improve our domestic industrial and municipal waste management, reduce the agricultural waste incineration, forest fires, and certain agroforestry activities, making greener and more compact cities with energy efficient buildings, providing universal access to clean, affordable fuels and technologies for cooking, heating, and lighting. And this is something we can do to help developing countries, and really building safe and affordable public transportation systems and pedestrian cycle friendly networks will help, because if more people can walk and ride their bike to work, less pollutants will be released. So these all kind of just break down into these main points here. So these are some important points to keep in mind, as you are going to need to be able to help provide solutions or possible viable solutions to help reduce air pollution. And these are all great ways to reduce the air pollution in our atmosphere. Local controls can actually be put in place. So this is an example where Minneapolis air has a higher than expected level of dry cleaning solvent, and the idea here was, or the point in this article that you can see here, was that the dry cleaners were using a lot of a specific solvent. So the program subsidized the dry cleaners that switched from PERC to other solvents, which would pay up to 45% of the costs. And so some of those dry cleaners have actually stopped using the harmful air pollutant in their dry cleaning, which has helped reduce levels of that solvent in the atmosphere. So these were dry cleaning fluids. Some other things that are done on a local level can be done preventing leaks and spills at service stations, where you use these vapor recovery nozzles so that it can actually suck the vapor back into the tank instead of allowing the vapor to be released into the atmosphere. Lighter fluid is also something that is being put under a pretty good regulation. It's being put under regulation because charcoal lighter fluids can actually be very dirty in their burning. So in this example down here, cleaner charcoal grilling sought in California, the Los Angeles Air Quality Management District was trying to put strict standards on lighter fluid to help reduce the amount of dangerous and dirty lighter fluid that's being used. There are also regulations on wood-burning stoves and less wood-burning stoves being used. In Reno, for instance, I'm sure you've seen wood-burning stoves in the valley, or you at least have seen the news if you've ever watched the news, where they tell you tonight's burn code is green or red. That's letting people know that if they have a wood-burning stove or pellet stove, which is what they use to heat their homes, that they can either burn or not based on the pollution levels in the atmosphere in that day. There are also programs put in place to lower the amount of trash burning. This is a problem in many rural areas where people actually burn their garbage, and it is dangerous, and in many places it's against the law. They also have created new rules in different places, like Delhi has created what is called driving odd days, where they have certain people are exempt from the rules, but you have an even number. You can drive on even numbered days if your license plate has an even number, and if you have an odd number ending on your license plate, you drive on an odd day, and if you drive on the wrong day, you get a fine. Public transportation is also something that can be done, because by putting in more public transportation, typically you're going to reduce the number of cars on the road. Carpools have also been put in place to help to allow people to, or encourage people to carpool instead of driving more cars. And they've also created tolls to basically discourage people from driving. So by taxing people for driving on a certain area, less people will drive on that stretch of road, which can help reduce the pollution in that area. So these are some of the examples of what can be done or has been done to help make cleaner air, but also an idea of things that can change just on the day-to-day. You know, it doesn't always have to come down to just what we're doing as people, but also the weather when we look at thermal inversion. But you can get an idea of the air pollution and why it is important for us to try to prevent air pollution, because air pollution will harm all of us. So that'll bring us to the end of our 6th video on ways to prevent air pollution. Our next video will be all about acid deposition.